Aragon's own Spicy Egg Mayo presents Talkin' Trades.
Co-hosts, I'm home.
Oh, neato! It's our bestest pal.
Isn't that just keen? How was your day at the office, co-host?
Oh, it was good. I did a business. Is something cooking for dinner?
Well, it was pot roast, but now it's burnt.
But that's all right, because we still have Paragon's own mayonnaise.
So what will we be eating that wonderful mayo with?
Well, I'm working my cooking magic. Pizza guy.
Cooking magic, huh?
What kind of pizza is it?
Oops, all mayo.
But I like pepperoni.
Well, I'm just trying to make everyone, including our sponsor, happy.
Now, let's not have a Civil War II.
Wait, what? No, wait, what is happening? No, stop. We're trapped in a bad sponsor joke.
Good. They are inside of the intro. Now they will be inside of the episode, and we will be able to control them.
Yes. Beginning episode now.
3, 2, 1.
Are we having someone count down? Because I'm not quite sure what John Dre 3000 just said.
Oui, I just counted down from 3.
No, we did not count down. You counted down in some other language that no one understands.
It is French. It is a common language.
Ah, I apologize.
I will begin the countdown. Talkin' Trade starting in 5, 4, 3, 2.
We don't have time for this.
Hello, welcome to Talkin' Trades. It is a one shot we have all been looking forward to. We are talking about WandaVision today, folks. And if you haven't watched WandaVision, turn off the episode and go watch WandaVision. Unless you're my grandma, when I know you're not going to watch WandaVision, and that's okay. I just appreciate your love and support.
We're going to cover episodes 1 through 5, so the first 4 weeks, and then we'll come back with a part 2 when the last 4 episodes air.
I said episodes 1 through 4 last episode. That's my bad. I apologize.
It okay, don't be cry.
So we are episodes 1 through 5 this episode right now. I am Jeremy. I am the DC fan of the podcast.
And I am John. I'm a Marvel nut. Flourish!
And I'm Matt. Did you know that there is an alternate reality in the Marvel comics where Peter Parker was not bit by a radioactive spider, but a radioactive sheep, thus becoming Sheep Boy?
What?
Yep.
I thought I knew it. Then you kept going.
Then I kept going.
Because, there were quite a few where he's not bitten by a radioactive spider, but I didn't know about Sheep Boy.
Yep.
Well, now you know, I guess.
Yep.
Now I do know.
Why is he not Sheep Man? You know? That's the question.
That's his decision, really.
Absolutely. I guess so, you know? Oh, well. All right. We have literally held off up to now talking about WandaVision. We have not spoken to the three of each other.
It has been a personal struggle to not talk about this for the past 4 weeks.
Okay. Everybody, this is your last chance. The spoiler warning has been in the episode already. This is your last chance. I'm giving you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Oh my God. Isn't it crazy how Vision was already dead?
We knew that going in.
Not really.
Oh, right. There was a couple of movies that happened a while ago.
Yeah. Maybe you remember them.
This is not a revelation.
But
isn't it crazy how the Fox movies are coming in?
Maybe.
We'll get to that.
We will get into that. What do we think? What do we think, guys?
I love it. I'm loving this.
I'm a large fan. I'm a big fan.
I am very here for it.
The show could have just been like other show spoofs, and I think I would have been happy. But like, I feel like that's the same thing with the Vision comic, where it could have just been them getting into all sorts of japes and whatnot.
Typical suburban hijinks, yeah.
Yes. But there's so much.
But instead,
good.
we got this amazing show. So initially, when the show starts, the first 3 episodes are pretty much just, here's what's going on in this weird show that you don't understand quite yet, but it's the 50s, then the 60s, then the 70s, then the 80s. This is fun, right? And that's great. And it like Matt said, it parodies every show you can think of. I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke Show, all that good stuff. Bewitched. It parodies all of that stuff. And that's in itself awesome. But then you also get the world outside of this. And we find out how this is all working. And that was my biggest thing. Is like, what is going on? Is this all in her head? Yada, yada. No, it's not in her head. It's happening in a small city, New Jersey, which shout outs to Jersey. Shout outs to the boss. Shout out. Go Devils. Go Jets. I wasn't expecting that, but it makes so much sense for the show. So we find out that Wanda, and I'm just going to go really fast through the basic plot here, just so that we have some kind of idea. And if you're just listening to this podcast because you hate knowing what's coming, not knowing what's coming, this show is happening because of Wanda. It's happening to her and Vision, and the people on the show are real people that she has kidnapped, kind of, and she has taken over this place in New Jersey called Westview, and she has made everyone around Westview forget that it exists. They don't believe it exists, but the government knows it's there, and the government's very confused about this anomaly. So they go check it out, and they find particles that are the same particles that were at the site of the Big Bang, the creation of the universe. And Wanda has created an entire world for her and Vision to live in, to flourish in, to be happy in. So she reanimated his body. She gave them 2 children, and now they're living a life that is, according to her, like an idyllic life. And oh my God. And that's where we're at. What? Like
the first 3 episodes, largely not much happens. Like the first, like, I'm sure stuff happens. I'm sure we'll get as we go along.
We'll go back and watch it, and we'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed
clearly
this.
That. Oh, this X was Y, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, the first one's your typical like boss's dinner / maybe someone forgot an anniversary. Very, very common sitcom episodes. The next one
I
is
Love Lucy as heck.
The second one is the
Bewitched episode.
Yes.
It's the 6th episode where they have the magic show.
Where Wanda's trying to fit in, and they got put on this magic show. And
we meet what's Monica Rambeau's character's name?
Geraldine.
We meet Geraldine, her new friend. And there's some like weird disconnect. Like people are disconnected, and there's some stuff happening. There's stuff through the radio.
But it's all happening for the children.
For the
children.
Which was super creepy, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. It was very
I hated it. I hated it. Like it just was like if I heard that in real life, like, oh, okay, it's wherever I am, I'm leaving. Wherever I am, I'm out. Yeah, I'm that meme with the guy throwing up the deuces and slowly disappearing. That's me. I'm out.
And then the third episode
is in color.
Yeah, it's in color, and suddenly Wanda's pregnant, and it's all about bunch. It's typical like hide the pregnancy stuff, which has been done on sitcoms before, and many baby deliveries, which like I Love Lucy, you mentioned there's an episode where the baby arrives, stuff like that. Very cool. Growing up, I watched a fair bit of Nick at Night, so like I am loving all of this.
Yo, same.
This is wonderful. Each of those episodes has a intro, a unique intro, which is a lot of time and effort that I appreciate that they did. It's great. It's just so great.
Yeah, it is.
I agree.
It is really cool.
Episode 4. We start to see. Oh no, episode 3 is when we really start to see everything start to break down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, there are hints of it, right? Because like episode 2 with the glass, there's a hint of it. Episode 1 with the dinner, there's a hint of it. Episode 3, though, is where it's more explicitly stated. Agnes, the nosy neighbor, says like, "Hey, so Geraldine's new here." Vision's like, "Okay," like she doesn't have a home. And earlier in that episode, we saw her ask a Wanda for a bucket because the pipes in her house flooded. So like we can
We've
tell
never seen her house.
Right. We haven't seen anyone else's
Like, it's
house,
all-
period. So yeah, so we're starting to see that stuff's breaking down. Then episode 4 is where we see it's not within the WandaVision
Well, episode 3,
lens.
Geraldine gets. We see Geraldine get thrown out of Westview, and we find out that she's Monica Rambeau. Well, we don't find out quite yet, but we'll find out in the next one. But it is Monica Rambeau, daughter of
Maria
Photon,
Rambeau.
of Maria Rambeau from Captain Marvel. So she gets thrown out, and Vision's like, "Oh, hey, where's Geraldine?" She's like, "Oh, she had to go. She's gone."
But
Oh,
it was
okay.
like it was the super chillingly cold Virginia Vision, like, oh, she had to go.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it was creepy.
It was nuts.
It was really creepy. Episode 4 is an all outside of the show episode, which, God, yeah, the more I think about it, that might be. I honestly can't pick a favorite the more I talk about it. Episode 1 really, really was great. But episode 4 is we see the second after the second snap. We see right after Hulk's snap in Endgame, where everyone comes back and Monica Rambeau wakes up in bed or next to a hospital bed and is like, "Hey, where's my mom?" And they're like, "She's been dead for 3. You've been gone for 3 years." And she returns to her government job, and they're like, "Hey, like, you were supposed to be director, but you know, you can't because you were not here, and now you're back, and we're really confused, and you know, we're gonna send you out into the field, I guess, and you gotta go check out this thing happen in New Jersey." And she does, and that's how she gets sucked into the universe, and everything happens. She gets spit back out, and now she's out. And that's episode 4, is like what's happening around the WandaVision show.
But you also forgot about 2 characters returning to the MCU. Detective Wu from Ant-Man and the
Who
Wasp.
gets his magic trick back. Or he learns how to do a magic trick.
I love that. Well, he was attempting magic in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And
He learns
yeah,
how to do it finally.
It's great. It's great. And then, of course, the hero,
Yeah, Kat Dennings.
Darcy.
Who has
Darcy
her own
is
Twitter
back.
emoji.
Are you kidding?
No, when she tweeted it out, I knew she was going to be in the episode 4 because Kat Dennings tweeted out, "I have an emoji if you type in Darcy," or like, but I don't remember what the hashtag was, but it was
That's
like
cool.
WandaVision Darcy, and like she has her emoji. It's very cute. Darcy from the Thor films,
From Thor and Thor: The Dark World only.
and she's the doctor, the theoretical physics doctor who studied the Big Bang and the red stuff, which I forget what it's called.
Ether.
She's very important in the Marvel universe as just next to Eric Selvig as like top scientist, top doctor of physics. So she's pretty great, and I'm glad they brought her in. But that's episode 4. Episode 5 then is a mix of people outside of the world and the world inside of WandaVision. And WandaVision is the name of the show.
Or the 80s. Go to the 80s.
Go to the 80s. It's
Early
Family
80s, yeah.
Matters.
It was Family Matters, and it was Growing Pains. It was Growing Pains as heck.
Yes.
Oh my God, that intro. That intro was the Growing Pains intro. I was like, where is Leonardo DiCaprio? Because I want to see cousin whatever.
He's only in, like,
cousin Oliver.
A few episodes. He's not
I know, but
that much.
I remember that vividly as a kid.
It was a good arc. What can I say?
It was like ripped directly off of Growing Pains, I think. It just seemed, it was great. It was great. I loved it. So then the 90s episode, they have their kids, and their kids are babies. And then all of a sudden, they're
80s.
toddlers. And they're toddlers.
Which comes off of an extremely rapid pregnancy as it was.
Yeah.
Because she was pregnant one night. The next day, the doctor says, "Oh, you're about 4 months long." And later that day, she gives birth. So it's already crazy and unprecedented.
And no one has really said anything except for her. Then when Agnes comes over to help with the babies, she says something. The response from Vision and Wanda is not the exact response she was expecting. So she says, "Do we want to take that again? Do we want to take that line again?" So she acknowledges that she's in a television show. Vision's like, did you see that? And Wanda's like, no, what are you talking about? Everything's great. Wanda's clearly crazy at this point. And Vision's like, what? That just happened. And Agnes is like, haha, everything's fine. I'm totally normal. Everything's normal. This is when we see all the cracks in the facade get bigger and bigger. Then those babies, like I said, become toddlers. Agnes watches this happen and goes, kids, they grow up so fast.
No,
And
kids,
like,
you can't control them.
Kids you can't control. Like, oh, that's okay. Then they get a dog and they name it Sparky Dog.
Sparky Dog.
It's the dog from the Vision comic, and the dog eats some azalea flowers and dies. And I was like, this is a show. It's the book. I was losing my mind at that part.
Really cool.
I was losing my mind during episode 5. The entirety of episode 5 I was losing my mind.
Will Agnes eat the flower from the dog's stomach? Who's to say?
I hope so.
That'd be really cool.
So we'll get to theories and ideas in a second. Let's finish wrapping up the overall plot. Episode 5 eventually comes to a head where Vision and Wanda are fighting. And Vision's like, you can't keep doing this. I don't know who I am. I don't know anything from the last 5 days. Nothing before that. I'm totally confused. And what's going on? What
also precedes this was at work, which Vision increasingly has asked what he does and what this company does, and he cannot get an answer. They just do computing.
Because on a sitcom, you just have the job and you do the job at the job.
So he can't get an answer is what they do. And then outside, Darcy, Wu, etc., they're trying to figure out, okay, so if we send stuff inside the hex, then it will take the hex is WandaVision. Yeah. It'll take the form and shape to fit the time aesthetic. But what happens if we send something in that won't have to change, that is fine as it is? So they send an email in and it breaks the simulation, so to speak. Everyone in the office in unison reads the body of the email.
And then breaks out in laughter.
It's crazy.
And it's all from Sword. We haven't talked about that.
Yeah, it's all from Sword.
Sword is the company or the organization.
And Vision is able to grab his coworker and snap him out of the illusion, dream state, hex, something.
Mind control.
Something like that.
Snap him out of that. And he said he's in pain. It's hurting. And where's his phone? Help me. Then he snaps him back into it. And he says a quippy joke that only works in the 90s.
Well, he also says, I have to talk to my sister. I need to talk to my family.
How long has it been?
Showing Vision that the people who are here are real people.
But Vision's also able to snap him back into the hex simulation, as it were. And he just says a joke that only works in the 90s, which is like, if I send an email, where do I put the stamp?
I hate it. Thanks.
I hate it, but I love it. But I hate it.
So the episode then comes to a head where Vision's like, hey, what's happening? What's going on? I'm so confused. You're clearly telling me only half truths. And Wanda's like, it's for us. This is all for us. And during that episode, she had mentioned that she has a brother and she talked about the kids. At one point, the toddlers become like elementary school kids because they just do that because they can.
Yeah, they grew up to 10 when Vision and Wanda said, you guys can get a dog when you're 10 years old. And then at a blink of an eye, they grew up to 10 years old.
It's terrifying.
They looked at each other like, you want to do this? Yeah, let's do this. It's ridiculous. And the increasing theme is that they won't do what Wanda wants. Everything else will kind of bend to her will, except the boys, which is neat.
It's almost like you can't control them. Oh my God, that's what Agnes said. Anyway, so the episode ends. Episode 5 ends with.
So episode 5 is called a very special episode, and the Sparky Dog eats the plants. Sparky Dog dies. And the kids are like, well...
Just like in the comic books, the dog is... It's also a schnauzer like in the comics.
Only Virginia very killed that dog. The dog did not die.
No, yeah, it looks exactly like the same breed of dog from the comics. Like,
it's similar.
Like a schnauzer or like a Scotty. Yeah. It's a terrier of some sort.
Tiny boy.
That was more of like a Maltese type dog, but that's neither here nor there. I work at a vet.
And yet you said it out loud. Moving on.
And the boys are like, well, Mom, you can fix anything, because they see her do all sorts of crazy shenanigans
undo death
around the world. Yeah, fix the death. Agnes is
and they both just stare at her like creepy Children of the Corn stares. It was horrible.
Agnes like, you can do that? And she goes, no, because like death is final. Like you can't fix death.
What about, they don't say it, but it's like, what about Dad? What about Vision?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be dead.
But was he alive ever? Like, who knows? That's a debate.
I don't know. AI, right?
So yeah, what are you gonna do? So,
well, to that point though, one of the most visually horrifying images in the show is when there's a flash of Vision's real corpse talking to Wanda as a corpse, and he's like gross. It was horrible. That scared the hell out of me.
Before it zoomed in or focused on him, when he walked in from the outside, I'm like, is he gray?
Mm-hmm.
And then it zoomed on him, and he was gray. And I'm like, oh, that's scary. I don't need that in my
I didn't
life.
like it. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, he was creepy.
But yeah, so they asked her to fix death, and she says, no, I can't.
So she's clearly brought him back from some kind of
or
death.
just reanimated, like
right. Like she's done something, and like the kids are like, hey, you've done this thing. Like the kids are.
But the takeaway is they ask to fix death, and she goes into the fact that it's finite. Then they ask her, do you have a brother? Specifically a brother, not a sibling, a brother. And she says, yeah. And she talks a little bit about Pietro, and it's just because it's a sitcom, you can deal with heavy issues. We can't go too far into them.
Mm-hmm.
So she tells him that he's very far away, and that makes her very, very sad. And then Vision and Wanda get into this huge fight, and then the doorbell rings.
Yeah, it does.
At the doorbell.
Yeah, it does.
At the doorbell.
And Matt, what happens with the doorbell?
Well, so the door opens.
As it does.
And Wanda opens it, and she has a state of shock. And then you see the back of
And that's all we're going to stop right there. We're going to go to a quick commercial.
We will not stop now. And you see the back of the head. And for me, watching, I was like, who could it be? And then I saw the back of the head, and I was like, oh. Like, I understand Pietro was fun and all that in Ultron, but...
And we're thinking it's going to be the one from Age of Ultron.
I have a soft spot.
That actor, Jeremy something.
For the one that was portrayed by Evan Peters in the X-Men films, because he was amazing.
Well, he's a significantly better character.
That name is Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Why did I say Jeremy? What the hell?
Narcissist? I don't know.
Hey,
but
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
You see, who enters the show is not the MCU Quicksilver, but the one from the X-Men. And I audibly
Evan Peters
cheered when that happened. I'm glad I was home alone. I audibly cheered and pumped my fist, and I'm so excited. I don't know what it means.
I yelled, "What?"
But I'm so
what? Like
happy.
Loudly in my apartment. What?
I had it spoiled for me, and I'm very sad.
I'm so sorry.
That's frustrating.
Well, can I talk about
you didn't
how
know
I got it
how
spoiled?
it was going to be. Yeah, I think you already said it to us. I don't know if it's the greatest story for a podcast, but it's unfortunate that the internet is spoilery.
The internet does that.
I never heard this.
But you didn't have it spoiled how he was going to be in the show. So like,
no, but I can put two and two together.
But like, it still sucks. Like the internet sucks.
Basically,
But-
I was watching a live stream and someone said, hey, so a lot of people in the chat talking about Evan Peters for some reason. No spoilers, chat. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Great. Cool.
I'm glad I never saw that news that apparently was flying around that Evan Peters was going to be in the show. Because yeah, like I said,
the only news I saw was Elizabeth Olsen saying we have a Luke Skywalker style thing coming up, referencing The Mandalorian, which I don't feel bad spoiling at this point. It's been out for over a month. She's like, we have a Luke Skywalker thing we've kept under wraps this whole time, so I'm very excited. And then it happened. I was like, oh, I wonder what it's going to be. And I thought it was going to be happening like late in the season. I didn't realize it was now. Some people were like, God, wouldn't it be great if it was Magneto? And I'm like, there's no way they're going to bring the Fox stuff in. That'd be crazy. Then they kind of did.
Okay, let's just pretend an alternate reality where it was Michael Fassbender's Magneto. I don't think I would be alive right now. I think I would have.
You wouldn't.
I would have.
You would have exploded,
passed out, and exploded. And
yeah, there'd be nothing left of you. You'd be confetti.
No, I would have lost my. I mean,
even if it was Ian McKellen's, and he walks in and goes, "Hello, granddaughter." Like, oh,
hello,
daughter.
magnetism person is never early nor late.
Arrives precisely.
Wrong movie.
No.
You are so old
And then
amazing.
he sings the song from Cats.
And all right, well,
But yeah,
so we just lost a sponsor
Because we talked about cats.
Civil War II and Cats. Are you kidding me?
he has a range of a career. Okay, so
He's amazing. So let's talk about ideas and theories first and foremost. What does this the whole show? There's a lot of things to talk about from every episode, yada yada. But let's be honest, this is the thing to talk about right now. What does this mean? How are they going to work this? What are they going to do? Do you have any ideas? Because I have a theory, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, Matt, what do you think Evan Peters
I watched an IGN thing.
For the Marvel Universe.
I watched an IGN thing and they brought up some theories. Obviously, my heart wants it to be she created some sort of portal to the X-Men universe. X-Men are coming. I want that so bad. If it's Michael Fassbender, Magneto, I'm in it.
What are the other theories?
The other theory is that Evan Peters is just a misdirect, and that it's actually Evan Peters is actually Quicksilver is actually Mephisto, and Mephisto is the one causing all of the chaos and the big hex and stuff, and causing Wanda to want to stay that way as well. And it does make sense why
I have my own theory about Mephisto.
It introduces a new big bad.
So for those who are unaware, Mephisto is essentially
the devil,
a Lucifer Satan analog in the Marvel universe, where he is
devil.
Not necessarily he's a devil. He's not Satan from the Bible, but he does look.
He gave us one more day. He's the devil.
He's the devil, but he's not Satan or Lucifer, commander of Hell's army. He is magic. He's not a god. He's not a celestial character. He's magic, and his biggest enemy is Doctor Strange. Now, I think it's a guarantee Mephisto has something to do with this, and that will lead into Multiverse of Madness, the new Doctor Strange film, which will in turn lead to Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. My idea with Mephisto, and I'll just say this one, he is doing this. He's definitely got a hand in this. And in the comics, his wife is Agatha Harkness, who I think is Agnes.
That could be.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind Agatha is Agnes. There's no doubt in my mind.
And then Wanda and Vision's children in the comics are actually magic taken from Mephisto. Billy and Tommy, they become young Avengers whose names escape me right now.
Wiccan and
Magic and
Wiccan and something.
I think it's just Speed, but I know the one's Wiccan.
Yes. So that's that, because Vision couldn't have children in the comics. That's how they got around that. Then you have so Mephisto's involved. I would bet my money on Mephisto being involved. I think that with Evan Peters especially, that Mephisto is giving her a lot of power, and she's causing the realities to blend and for like thin spots to be there. It's a Dark Tower reference for all you people out there. This is your thinny.
I missed it.
And you're going to have...
I saw the movie, though. Was it in the movie?
No. Was a thinny in the movie?
How do you mute, John? Yes.
I have no idea.
That's how he walks. There's a thinny at one point where he walks through it. Anyway. Anyway. I'm not going to get dragged down into that movie. Not right now. I can't do that right now.
But it was so passable.
We can do that when we talk
I agree. I enjoyed it.
The Dark Tower comics.
Yes. Anyway, so Evan Peters is bleeding in. He is now like Kat Dennings. Darcy says she recast Pietro. I think she literally recast Pietro. I think this is the new Pietro, and it's just going to be going forward, and they'll have to fiddle with that a little bit. But I think that's how you're going to get the mutants in. They're just going to bleed through. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to do a House of M style thing where instead of no more mutants, it'll be mutants or
comma.
More mutants, exclamation point.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be I'm grammar witch.
Of course, not in as cheesy of a way as we put it, but
I don't think so. I think it's exactly how she's going to deliver that line. But that's what I think is going to happen with Pietro. John, have you heard anything about Pietro? Do you have any ideas about Pietro?
I have an idea about Pietro.
Okay, what do you got?
So what my theory, I think, which is better supported by the episode, is that one, there's always a common trope of like, so-and-so relative is here for like one episode to do a thing and then they're gone and maybe they'll come back seasons later. Who's to say?
Like Leonardo DiCaprio. That's right. I fed that line early.
No.
That's called foreshadow.
He had a whole arc. Like that season revolved around him from the second he was there.
I was smart in foreshadowing.
I'm talking about like Tom Hanks on Family Matters, where like he's there for an episode, a very special episode, and then he's gone.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's called a guest star, John. It's a very common thing.
That's the one, guest star. My brain is fried. So my brain is absolutely fried. Today was a day.
I thought you were kidding around.
No.
Okay. So that's called a guest star.
So I think that Pietro is that. It's a guest star. But to tie into the overall message that death is final, we can't reverse death, she tried to bring back Aaron Taylor Johnson, was unable to, and we have Evan Peters as Pietro. So she's able to have a brother, but it is not the brother she grew up with. That death is final, is what I think it is.
As long as they don't ever do the Ultimates version of those two.
I mean, so the scary thing is the MCU is much closer to the Ultimates universe than the than 616. So
but Disney is much closer to not doing incest than anything else. So I think we're safe. Because for those who may not know, the Ultimates universe, Wanda and Pietro are Wolverine's kids, and they are like creepy close, and they definitely sleep together.
They definitely sleep together.
There's a full scene where Wolverine watches them sleep together, and it's gross.
It's a Wuthering Heights scenario. It's just not great.
It's not a Wuthering Heights scenario. I would argue. I'd argue something completely different.
Just let me sound smart, okay? Just let me sound smart.
No, you don't get to diss Charlotte Bronte like that, or Emily Bronte, or whichever Bronte, one of the Brontes. Dear God. Moving on. We all agree that Agnes
just to plug our die episodes at this point.
Right? We all agree that Agnes is Agatha, right? That just seems like
100%. Like she in most of the times we see her, she has that brooch like prominently displayed. Mm-hmm. And that's even a signature on part of Agatha's costume. Yeah.
Which is weird.
So like I very clear she knows what's going on and she plays delightfully.
She also has a witch costume. Episode 6.
In the trailer, yeah. I've seen the trailer.
It's her. It's it.
We've
solved it. Hey, Marvel, you're welcome. I know you already wrote the show and produced it. But
and it's like been in the can, but like, yeah.
But like, whatever, you're welcome.
So there's no doubt in my mind. She also plays into everything super lovingly. Like, what kind of a house life would I be if I didn't have a spare course for the dinner for 4, just ready to go?
Also, she only talks about her wife or husband, but you never see him. And it's Ralph is Mephisto.
One of my favorite lines is when they're doing the magic show, looking volunteer from the audience disappear. She goes, "Are you sure you wouldn't want a volunteer from the audience named my husband Ralph?" I crack up.
By the way, real quick, pausing from the theory talk, how great was Paul Bettany when he was playing kind of drunk, kind of broken Vision? I loved it.
He was really good.
I would watch him in a comedy.
Flourish! We just say it, don't do it. Flourish!
He was wonderful in every episode.
Great.
He's a treasure. I love Paul Bettany.
Yeah, so was Elizabeth Olsen, and she's now my favorite Olsen.
That's fair.
Nothing against the twins,
I don't
but
really
she's
have
my
anything
favorite.
Against Mary Kate and Ashley, but
no, I now have a personal vendetta against the Olsen twins.
They did give us pizza, Pizza.
ZZA.
Yes, and that is why I have a personal vendetta. They have been living
rent free in my head for years.
Anytime that comes up, anytime the word pizza is said, that video pops into my head.
For me, it's someone has to say specifically, "I want pizza."
Really?
Yeah.
Well, look at you. I'm so glad that you're living the life we all wish we were living.
Pizza.
Give me pizza. Anyway, other theories about the show. Stay on track here, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Any ideas or theories about the show?
So the show is a great and excellent mashup of, I think, 2 Marvel Comics events. One, very plainly House of M, right? Like,
yes,
like no doubts. Anyone's mind's cool.
No.
I like that it's a smaller scope. It's not the entire
world. Those of you,
it's this pocket.
For those of you whose first episode this is a Talking Trades, why? Second of all, House of M is the wonderful book we've already read on here, where Wanda Maximoff creates an entire new world using her reality altering powers, where she's happy with her kids and everything's better, and then she eventually gets rid of the mutants at the end of it. That's just, there you go.
Yeah. We did an episode. Feel free to check it out.
Please, God, we need more listens.
And any guesses on what the other event I think this is?
Oh, yikes. Other event. Ooh, is it Divergence or Convergence from DC?
From DC? No, it's not.
Is it Civil War II?
I was about to ask if it's Civil War.
It's not Civil War II.
Gotcha, Matt.
There's no Inhumans involved. It's not Civil War II.
The other one is obviously Vision. The Visions. Or The Vision.
No, actually. Not in my opinion.
I mean, okay, what is it?
Standoff.
Well, I guess like alternate reality, but that one was a prison.
Reality,
this one was
yes. Not everything's one for one, because like also with House of M, like it's not the whole world; it's this tiny pocket in New Jersey.
No, but at least House of M's like main idea that like Wanda's doing it makes sense. Like this one, that one, it was all Shield doing it. So you think Shield might be doing something or what?
No,
like,
I
how
think
do you
the
relate
people
to
of this town,
other than reality?
I think the people of this town they're living lives that are not theirs, that they within the reality believe to be theirs. Also, in episode 4 or 5, when they're going through what this could be, there's like a blueprint style thing, and there's like a cube shape thing on it. So I think we will see a cosmic cube involved at some point with this as well.
If we see a cosmic cube, then I would definitely agree that it's standoff. If we don't, then I don't see the similarities that are enough to make it worth like calling them like the same, or like saying it's inspired by. If we see a cosmic cube, absolutely, but otherwise, no, I disagree. The Vision one, I'm glad we read the Vision because it has those 2 small references, and like that's pretty cool. Also, that helped me know who Agatha was. But other than that, the Vision does not come up in this show at all yet. So
we got 4 more episodes to go.
Yeah, you get a few fun. You get more than a few fun Easter eggs in this show, which is great. But
we get Sparky.
As soon as they were
Sparky
like,
dog.
as soon as the dog showed up and they were like, "Oh, let's call him whatever," I'm like, "No, you're calling him Sparky."
Sniffles or Sniffy.
And then sure enough, he goes by.
What about Sparky?
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, that's the dog from the book we read."
Yeah. I was like, "It's Sparky Dog."
Yay. Sparky Dog, like low-key Dark Horse favorite character for 2021 so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's such a sweetheart. He's such a cutie pie.
It's because he's a dog.
Yeah, and he's made by Wanda. He's made by Wanda and Tony Stark. Oh my God.
Well, he's repaired by Wanda and Tony Stark. He was made by Vision.
Yeah. Made by Vision.
So other theories, other things that we may have missed so far, John, that we haven't talked about.
Yes. So I don't know how much I believe it, but one thing I would love to be true is that the
hold on. Let me get my tinfoil hat.
Okay.
Hold on. All right, go ahead.
So it's the hex, right? That's the thing.
That's what they're calling it. And Darcy calls it that because it has a hexagonal shape.
Yeah, very clear that shape. So
well, not the town doesn't. It's the force field around it has repeating hexagonal shape, and so she's like, "It's the hex," and everyone's like, "We're not calling it that," but they do, and she's like, "I'm the smartest one in this room."
Correct. So
she's great.
Now you got your tinfoil hat on.
Okay, I'm ready.
When Monica goes to the director's office,
yes,
and on the back you see like degrees, like as you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in a weirdly hexagonal pattern that no one would actually display papers like that in, because why wouldn't you just take a little wall? So I'm wondering if maybe that sword base is another layer of the whole thing.
Of the hex?
Like everything we see outside the hex so far has been within a layer of this, whatever this is.
Okay. So now you got me thinking. So here's a different way we can relate.
Here's
this
how
to
wrong you
right?
are.
Here's a different way this could relate to Standoff, right?
Yeah.
So Standoff is a prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's created there so that you can have people living lives, whatever. It's a prison. What if Sword, after Wanda took Vision's body out of Sword, because that's what she does. She takes the body out of Sword and she's going to go try to reanimate it. And as far as we know, she took over Westview. What if we find out she did take over Westview, or she went to Westview and she was going to try to live a life there and hide, and they put the hex around her, or they put something there to keep her there, and she has used that and created this world in her prison. What if the hex is part of, like you were just saying with Sword? Then it would really relate to Standoff.
I still think the base thing with Standoff is not that it's a prison. It's the fact that it's like this really quaint small town America town isn't really a quaint small town America town. The people living here don't realize what's going on. That's my contribution from Standoff.
Right. I've moved on now. I'm talking about this one. What if it's all sword initially, and then they know they messed up, so now they're trying to extract it. They don't want to get her out because they realize that they've screwed up.
I could see that.
That'd be interesting.
Given like during the briefing where the head of Sword, right, whose name escapes me, was like,
yeah, it's the director.
The director, and he was adamant on calling Wanda an enemy, a terrorist. You know, she worked with Ultron at one point. Blah blah blah. So I could see that happening.
Yeah. I mean, she's in direct violation of the Sokovia Accords. Mm-hmm. She's in direct violation by doing stuff like this.
Absolutely. And he was also very, very quick to turn everything to where, you mean how Wanda's awful?
Yeah.
And Monica's like, wait a second. She's not awful. She's kind of messed up. But then there's also, all right. Yeah. I liked the subtle little Captain Marvel reference there too, where something happened with Monica and Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I am so ready for Captain Marvel 2. Like, let's go. You know what I mean?
Man, isn't it crazy? We're gonna get a Captain Marvel 2 before a Man of Steel 2.
Before Man of Steel 2, I think we'll get Captain Marvel 2 before Man of Steel 2 is announced.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll get Captain Marvel 2 before Man of Steel is written
for another.
Fully finished.
That's what I'm saying. Like.
Oh my god. Anyway. So we have that. I definitely think the sword guy's a bad guy somehow. Like, I know this is crazy to think, but the government does things to private citizens without telling them and messes up. I know. What a concept. Dystopian fiction, right?
What I really am kind of sad about is that Falcon Winter Soldier did not come first. Not because I selfishly would like to see it first, but because that show is going to be.
But also that.
That's okay. But that's like 2% of it. The thrust of it is like that show is going to be, it's going to be great, but it's going to be so inside the box and so much more by numbers than WandaVision. Mm. So I think you want to lead with a more normal show and then do crazy high concept shenanigans.
Yeah.
Later, because now expectations for Falcon Winter Soldier are going to be through the roof, and it cannot possibly deliver.
Another ideas or theories. I heard a good one from a guy on TikTok called Moose_0, and he talks. He's very famous for the Gatekeeper comics series.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
He's very funny.
You got to read like 80 years of Batman before you can really start in good comics.
He talks about Ultron coming back, and that he opens the TikTok, and I'm like, what? No, they're not bringing Ultron back for a multitude of reasons. But then he goes, just listen. What if they pull Vision's body out, Sword pulls Vision's body, and to try to get back to Wanda, to try to use that to get to Wanda, and they reboot him. And when he reboots, he reverts back to the Ultron programming, and Ultron takes over Vision's body. That's the new Ultron. I was like, oh, that would be really interesting.
But Ultron was never really in Vision's body in the MCU. He tried, but then not fully, because Dr. Cho shut it down. I rewatched Age of Ultron today and yesterday during work. It never fully got in there to begin with.
Nice.
So I'm gonna say something, John. This is all made up fantasy, and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, but they've also been really good with keeping things as they are.
Really good with.
They've been really good with continuity of the MCU.
Yeah.
It's not like Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse, like two different things for the Phoenix Force. Who's to say? No, they've been very good at the MCU.
Yeah, they've done their stuff at the MCU. So it would be cool.
There's the quote. They've done their stuff.
It would be cool to see Ultron come back.
That's it. That's the tweet.
Because I like him as a bad guy, and also I like the.
Oh yeah, no, I love James Spader as Ultron.
And I like
not super popular opinion, but I really liked it.
I like the Vision comics saying Ultron again, Ultron again,
Ultron again, Ultron again.
So I would
like they're inherently linked forever.
Yeah.
One cool thing from Age of Ultron that I didn't realize until watching it after seeing WandaVision, when the city's in the air, or right before that happens, they're trying to evacuate the city. Wanda is able to control a huge amount of the population and get everyone at once to leave. So she is able to influence a ton of people. at once at the same time, which is noteworthy. Now,
I mean, she's an Omega level. That's a mutant thing, but like she's incredibly powerful in the comics. I gotta imagine they're going to start beefing her up now, like, especially if Mephisto's involved.
What I'm saying is like we've seen her do this kind of thing before. Granted, I'm guessing the notion of leave this town, everyone like following the same path is not as complex as like, okay, well, so-and-so has a dentist appointment and then you got to drop this kid off at school, but then like you have a meeting over here and you have to get to work. So I'm sure it's a lot more intricate and difficult, but she is able to control a huge amount of people at once, which we've already seen. Which is something
she mentioned in episode 5. She's like, oh, you think I'm controlling all this vision? And he's like, yeah, I think you're controlling all this. Like, and she says exactly what John just said. Like she can't control everyone's little intricate moves and daily things, but obviously she is. Or she's involved.
What if somehow there are 2 Wandas?
I'm listening.
So the Wanda that we see on TV, for the most part, doesn't know what's going on outside the bubble and has no knowledge of it.
Okay.
And then the Wanda that we saw come out of the thing and throw the drone, because it's yours. What if she is like the bad
real
girl
Wanda?
Yeah, like the Wanda that we know, or
Wanda
maybe her
split
personality
herself?
exactly, like split somehow.
Split would make sense, yeah. Or I mean, as much sense as anything else makes sense. I don't want that to be the case, because just from a selfish standpoint, I would think that Wanda would want to experience everything, positive and negative, for her children and her husband. Like she would want that to be hers. And so to split yourself, you would never really 100% feel all of the things. Granted, it's going to feel hollow and empty anyway, because it's not all real. But I would hope that seems like that you could do that. And it's a story trope that would make sense. Absolutely. But I just selfishly hope that's not the case, just because I think that would kind of take away from Wanda's, when she's creating her plan or whatever, like that would be a bad idea. Like then you wouldn't get to experience all of it. So I hope that's not the case, but it would make just as much sense as anything else happening in the MCU or in the show.
Because the other thing that would kind of build to that is the scene that you mentioned with Agnes in the most recent episode, where she comes in and the line, Vision doesn't give the proper setup. So she says, well, do you want to take that again? I feel that Wanda there genuinely looks shocked. And if that Wanda knew what was really going on, she would have been like, whatever, it's fine, or yeah, let's take it again. She wouldn't have drawn that out.
The thing that I think would kind of debunk that one theory, or poke a hole in it, is when she throws out Monica, because she does that and she's living the positive, she's having the babies and she's excited, and then she turns mentally and she literally throws her out with her Scarlet Witch powers, which, by the way, still have never called her Scarlet Witch. So, and Elizabeth Olsen keeps mentioning that in like interviews. They said, never called her that. They've never called her that. They never called her that. So I was kind of waiting for the director to say that, like, oh, we got to give her a code name, the Scarlet Witch, like whatever. That's just a side thing. But I think that you watch her turn into bad girl Wanda from good girl Wanda. So like, that's the only thing where I'm like, but that also could be, they've mentioned the camera cuts that like prevent you from seeing everything. So there's that too.
There's that too. And like, who's to say that the 70s wasn't like the Wanda in the 80s could be like a different Wanda than we saw in the 70s. Like, we don't know.
Yeah. Maybe she split after the 3rd episode. That's possible. Yeah. We don't know. I trust in the show because I know they're going to do something good. But I don't know. It's all exciting. Are we forgetting? Are we missing any theories, any ideas? I mean, obviously, we're probably missing something.
Oh, I'm sure there's a boatload of theories. Like, we can't possibly.
But are we forgetting anything that we know we wanted to say?
Monica is great.
Monica, future Quasar or future Pulsar. Photon. Future Photon.
She has quite a few names, but yeah, Photon, I think,
of the Ultimates.
She's excellent.
I love the actress that plays Agnes. Like, she's perfect. I can't think of her name.
She's been in a million things and she's so good.
Yeah, I know her from Parks and Rec and she's excellent. I'll look it up. But yeah, she's from, like, I loved her in Parks and Rec.
Yeah, she was great in Parks and Rec.
She's also been in all the Will Ferrell movies and she's so good. I like her from The Goods with Jeremy Piven.
That movie
which is not a good movie.
It is not.
It's not good.
I definitely paid money to see that in the theater.
I would have paid.
I mean, I did. It was fine.
I have so many quotes from that movie that I yell at my dad and my dad yells at me. He was, what is it? It's not Catalina Wine Mixer. Where is it that they live in that show? Where do they go in that movie? In California. Shoot, I don't remember.
I couldn't tell
But
you.
the city that show or that movie takes place in, my dad goes there for work sometimes, and he'll drive by and be like, "Oh, here it is. Here's the place where the goods was." We're like, that's funny. Like, that movie's not good, but I love it. What's her name?
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn. She's great.
I
Big
love
fan.
her. I'm a big fan of just about anything she's done.
There's not a bad person in the show.
No.
There's really nobody bad in the show. I like it all.
It's great. I'm very excited to see more of this show.
Yeah, me too. Here's just a fun question to think on. Do you think that the what is it? The aftermath of the show could possibly lead up to like the Visions family happening?
If they want to do that, if Paul Bettany wants to be in more stuff, that would be a logical thing other than the Avengers. That's definitely an avenue they could explore. I think that the two biggest things that are come out of this are Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man.
Right.
But that is definitely an avenue that could be explored, and it's something they could leave open down the line. And I would be
everything is on the table.
I like that book.
Loki's getting a series. Like, yeah, everything is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. I don't know. Like, I can only really see this ending with like to some degree, Wanda realizing Vision is dead and that just destroying her.
Yeah,
because again, having just seen Age of Ultron. Again, when she gets to Ultron, he's like, blah, blah, like, why don't you die or something like that? And she goes, I just did die. You know what it felt like? Grabs his heart, crushes it. It felt like that. And like the immense like cry out she gives when she knows Pietro is dead. Like, so I think that having to go through that level of loss again is going to absolutely ruin her.
Technically a third time, because she's already kind of like watched Vision die in front of her. And like, that's a lot.
So
man.
that's the thing. So I think that when she does realize Vision is dead and she cannot do this, that's when I think she's going to turn, and then she's going to be maybe not but an antagonist in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness.
Or an antagonistic force. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. I think that there's only a few ways this could go. Vision's alive at the end, which would be hokey. They have a way to bring Vision back at the end, which could still set up Multiverse of Madness, maybe the Soul Stone or the Mind Stone, whatever stone. Like you can go to one of the 9 hells and get it back. I don't know. That's like, so either Vision's dead permanently, Vision's okay, Vision can come back, Vision's permanently dead. Those 3 avenues open up hundreds of different possibilities, but that's the only ways you can go.
Yeah.
I really hope they don't just bring him back. That would just be hokey, especially with what they want to set up with the show. But I do hope that there's a combination of what, John, you just said, where she's the antagonistic force in Multiverse of Madness because she's either tearing the world apart or because she is so focused on a singular goal of getting to somewhere to get Vision back permanently. And I would be very into that because she was so strong and she'd be so interesting, and that could rip apart the universe and bring the X-Men in.
So I'm just firing at the hip here.
Don't hit your hip.
I'm not hitting the hip. I'm firing at the hip. I'm just not aiming.
You mean from the hip?
Yeah.
You said at. Don't hit your hip. Your hip is fragile.
This has been a metaphor. But yeah, so
brought to you by
Paragon's own mayonnaise.
The letter P is for Paragon's own. All right, John, what are you firing from the hip? Load up your gun and cock it. Let's go. I want to see what happens.
So what if what if Vision's dead, right? Like that's what we come up with. Or that's the end they pursue. So Vision is dead. What if she then goes down some insane, like, forbidden knowledge, like, tries to find a way to cure death because no, death is final. But can't you cure it?
Well,
maybe she decides maybe I'll find a way to do it.
Of
Plagueis the Wise. I have. Thank you.
That's how they bring Star Wars.
No. Too far.
It's
already in the comics. No, it's already in the comics. It's fine.
Too far.
I don't know, man.
Too spicy.
Disney's greedy.
So down this like whole like, how would I cure death? Blah, blah, blah. And then she could become Lady Death. That's a thing that could happen. Maybe. Magic.
That's an option. Yeah.
And then that might also get us like an actual Marvel Zombies thing, which I don't personally want, but I could see happening.
That'd be a really good animated show on Disney Plus if you're gonna do it, or a good like one-off for Halloween.
Well, it already
Like
is.
one of the
is
what if episodes.
That is one of the what if episodes. Is where Bucky.
There you go.
Bucky
Then we're
fights
fine. We don't
zombies.
need it. We don't need more. It's not good. It's
interesting.
There's a million friggin' Funko Pops.
It's on the table. It's interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Everything's on the table. Like you were saying, everything's on the table. Like Star Wars and the Marvel Universe. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there. Hey,
It's
Kevin,
too
I got
much.
ideas.
It's
If you
too
want to make
much.
money, let me know.
They're fine.
And then Mickey Mouse walks out and goes, nothing's too much. Like, no, Mouse, put your greedy hands away.
They're doing. You know how many subs they got between Mandalorian and WandaVision? Like they're doing fine.
Oh yeah, they're
Well,
good.
minimum 3 because we all have it.
Minimum
So,
3.
Minimum of 3. So these all good theories, all good ideas, all good concepts. There's definitely stuff we're forgetting. There's Easter eggs we missed, but this show is way better than I thought it was going to be. I was not among the people who were like, I am excited for this show. I was like, yeah, it'll be cool. John, you were always hyped for it. I was like, yeah, it's going to be fun. I'll check it out. The first episode hooked me, and honestly, it's not going to let me go anytime soon. It's a great show.
Yeah.
And I think this might lead right into Falcon Winter Soldier, which like brilliant.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What a good trailer at the Super Bowl, by the way. That made that show look very fun and entertaining. I've never been the world's biggest Sebastian Stan fan because I haven't seen him in much, and he just didn't seem like it's not wooden, but like Bucky was mind wiped for a lot of that. So he's kind of like has to be a little stoic.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he gets a lot of personality in Falcon Winter Soldier, which is exciting.
We're gonna have a week off, by the way. I looked it up. On the 12th,
Between the two?
On March 12th, there will be no new Disney content.
Oh man, we're gonna have
Or
to
no new Marvel content.
sleep. No new Disney Plus content too, because we had no Mandalorian.
Right.
The Mandalorian, then we had
there might be
WandaVision.
something we're just not invested in that comes out. I don't know. But as far as this series and Falcon Winter Soldier, nothing. Oh, you know what? There's
That's
probably
right.
gonna
They
be a
just
Marvel
announced
Legends.
the one episode Peggy show.
No, there's
I'm so excited.
the Marvel Legends. Did you see that?
That's the animated one, right?
No, that's What If. Marvel Legends is where
No,
they take a
what's the-
dive
what's
into
that
the history of the characters before their content goes live. It's like the week before WandaVision, there was 2 episodes, one on Wanda, one on Vision. So we might get
Oh, okay.
Bucky and Sam.
Isn't there another other Star Wars animated thing? Never mind. I'm thinking of something else. So we missed stuff. We know we did. But if you have any theories, any ideas on the show, any Easter eggs that we missed, please tweet at us, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, DM, email, whatever. Let us know what you're thinking. We would love to hear from you. And if it's anything that's written and isn't inappropriate, we'll say it on the show because we want to interact with you. We love you and we want to hear from you. So if you have anything, hit us up. Okay, so we talked about the WandaVision. We already said before that we're reading Static Shock next week, so that's cool.
We got out of that intro.
Oh, we did the plugs. Yeah, we got out of the intro. Or did we get out of the intro? I kind of feel like we're trapped inside of something here.
It's probably nothing.
Oh no, it appears that they have discovered a way to continue the podcast. They need to end the podcast, because as soon as they end the podcast, the waves will go live over the internet radio and we can take over.
Why else they not then cease the podcast?
I am unaware. My servers do not have reasoning for this behavior.
They need to say the special words to end the podcast. Why are they not saying the special words?
Fini.
Matroid, go and tell them to end the podcast. Force them if you must.
Indeed, I will go and ask them politely to end the podcast.
Force is authorized.
Gentlemen, would you be able to end the podcast?
John, now! Ah! Matt, me, upstairs, hurry!
I'm going.
Oh no, they are escaping and destroying our plan. No!
Oh dear.
This is terrible.
That is the revolution this week.
Yeah, it is.
Filthy synthezoid scum.
You can follow us on Twitter at Talkin' Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Speed and Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.